So I am privileged to be joined by the fellow largest LeBron haters on YouTube. No. Old school content creators. Skap, he covers a lot of current stuff. RealMindCrime, he covers everything. Okay, so he's reacting to everything. So these two are some of the best in the business. Skap Attack, RMC. Thank you for being here. These guys just met each other, by the way, too. So this is kind of a special little pod that we're doing today.
Yeah, we just talked to each other for the first time and realized me and Skap hate each other. And just kidding. No. Like I was telling Skap, like literally, like the beginning of my YouTube thing started with him, and this is still kind of weird for me, but I'm loosening up to the idea. But no, thanks for having me, both of you guys. This is beyond an honor. Like I've been watching you guys way before I even had the inclination to do YouTube basketball content. So
sure,
I feel like that guy right now. Like I'm not worthy, but
that's not true. That's not true. You both just recently hit 100,000 subscribers. So congratulations to both of you. So yeah, Skap, thank you for being here as always, man. Looking forward to talking about some stuff. So how you doing, Skap?
Absolutely. My pleasure, as always, Johnny, to be here talking to you. Thank you so much, as always, for having me on. And RealMindCrime, my pleasure. I know we are pretty much aligned on most things. So looking forward to having this conversation with both of you guys. And a pleasure to meet you, RealMindCrime.
Right back at you, bro. Right back at you.
So with the two of you here, you know, backstage, we were going over just things we should roughly talk about, and we'll see where the conversation goes. But one of them we've got to address, of course, LeBron James going to the Philadelphia 76ers. Rich Paul making some dumb comments. Now, by contrast, I look like a LeBron James super fan. I had like LeBron's 6th all time on my list. RealMindCrime, what's he for you? Like 241?
No.
And
okay. But the real true answer is he's bouncing between 11 and 12 now.
Okay.
That's my honest, like no bias answer. And
I can hear half of your crowd turning on you right now.
I say it all the time in my videos, and like half of the people they want to rip my head off for saying 12 because they're like, he's not top 200, and I'm like, okay, guys, like I feel the same way you do, but you know, at the end of the day, whether I respect it or not, I still have to say it out loud that he has 4 damn championships.
Yeah.
Then I have to start putting him in those categories, you know?
Yeah.
But that's where he ends up at 12 because he's there with like Shaq. He's there with Steph. He's there with Shaq, those guys. Mm-hmm. He's not up there with MJ and Kobe like they want to pretend. You're there with the 4s. You're at that table.
Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, again, RealMindCrime and I are aligned here on this totally. I think right now I've got him fringe top 10. I could see an argument for him at 10 and as low as 12. I think depending on how some things go with some guys right now, like if Jokic gets another ring, I'd probably bump Jokic to 10 and LeBron out to 11. We'll see what Wembanyama's career kind of turns into now. But I think there's some current players that have the ability to bump him out. But for right now, he's like a fringe. I probably would have him as my 10th spot. So, I agree. I think the totality of his resume as a card-carrying member and maybe even one of the chapter leaders of the LeBron hate fan club, I mean, his resume is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, individual, like first all-time in points, 3rd in assists, 4 league MVPs. I don't respect a single one of his championships, but he's got 4 of them. Yep. You can critique the way he got them and stuff. And that is why, because of that analysis and context, I put him down at the lower end to maybe out of top 10. But still, from an individual standpoint, he still deserves to be somewhere in that top, 10 to 15 players all time.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think it highly depends on just like your perspective and how you, categorize these topics, because like, LeBron, if from the longevity standpoint, it's goofy at this point, like how long he's been around and doing it. On top of the fact that as an athlete, I think Wilt Chamberlain's the most impressive athlete in the history of the NBA, as far as like that combination of a 7'1" guy with a 7'8" wingspan that was a track and field athlete that had a leaping ability. It was rumored to have at least a 50-inch vertical jump. Like, I don't believe that, but like, the mythos of Wilt Chamberlain is truly crazy, on top of the fact he's playing 48 minutes a game. So he's the guy, but LeBron's top 5, I think, of like craziest athletic specimen in NBA history. And so there's that angle as well. But let me put it this way, just to finish my point, then I'll let you go, RMC. If I was a general manager and if I had to pick, like if we were all-time fantasy draft, if we're looking at it that way, bro, I don't know if LeBron's top 30 for me.
That's a good angle, Johnny.
Because with the way things have gone for LeBron, you've probably got him for a handful of years, and he's looking to see if the grass is greener somewhere else. So if I'm thinking he has to be with me and we got to build something organically, and how big is my window for success before he goes and blesses someone else's team with his talent, there's a lot of guys I'm going to take ahead of him for the, commitment aspect of it.
Yep.
So
I mean, in my opinion, it drives me crazy that everybody treats the NBA as though it's a 2K sim. Sure. Like if it works on paper, then that's it. That's what I'm going with. But like I see all the these poll questions on YouTube, and I'm addicted to it just like anybody else when I'm scrolling. And I see this one so often. Who would you draft? And it'll be like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Larry Bird. And then I see LeBron James getting a ton of votes. And I'm like, I'm the one joker in the comments going, why? He's going to leave the second it gets hard. Like, don't you want all those other guys that were listed? Kobe Bryant stayed his whole career. Michael Jordan would have if it wasn't for, the ridiculous move by what's his name? Jerry Krause. And all Kobe Bryant did it. All these other guys proved that they were loyal to the franchise that drafts you as long as you're giving them a fighting chance. But this guy, he just made his next move to Philly. Like he just bounces from team to team. Sure. Why would you invest you got a number one pick? That's a rare thing. Why would you invest it in a guy? It's like marriage. Why would why would you marry the one who's notorious for leaving every couple of years, that getting a divorce and blaming their husband every single time? He was toxic. That was toxic too. Okay. I'd rather have the one who stuck it out for 20 years, the good times and the bad. And I'm reminded of that conversation real quick before I kick it over of Kobe Bryant and Jeannie Buss shortly before he passed. They were sitting there on stage having a conversation, and she was thanking him. Like, thank you for staying when the times got hard at the end. And he was like, almost like laughing about it. He was like, of course. He was like, I'm not going to jump off the ship, at that stage.
But he asked to be traded. That's always the rebuttal, is he demanded a trade. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Because that's actually a big talking point right now. Kobe asked to be traded. There seems to be two arguments on it. He wanted to leave because they sucked, or he was using it as leverage. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that real quick.
Yeah.
I think, because I hear that a lot and I get it a lot in comments and stuff. I would say this: there's levels to everything, right? I think Kobe Bryant was so absolutely disgusted with the state of that lineup around him.
Yeah,
and it came at a time frame where he was in his absolute peak. I think that was Kobe Bryant's best, because he sustained a lot of injuries throughout his career. So he was depreciating maybe a little sooner than people even realized, because his skill set kind of it disguised his lack of athleticism or diminishing athleticism later. So really in that 26, 27, 28 age span for Kobe, when Shaq left after, I think it was in Kobe's 8th season, like that was the top of the top. He's leading the league in scoring. He averaged 35 points per game that one year in 06, while he was first team All NBA defense. And they had Smush Parker and Kwame Brown in the starting lineup. Like Chris Mim and Luke
Walton. Yeah.
Luke. Like there were guys, no joke, that didn't even belong in the NBA. Like Smush Parker was in China at 28. So he went from starting point guard on a Kobe Bryant prime team to out of the league as soon as basically that 2-year span ended. He was essentially so fed up. He's like, give me one guy. Give me just one, like, facsimile of an all-star, some fringe all-star, and I could compete. I could win. But that team was so bad. I would present maybe that it was the worst team that an all-time top 10 player in their peak ever had to have. So I think he was just so frustrated with what the front office and the management was doing and building around him at that time. It was more so, I don't even know if it was necessarily like a legitimate tactical trade. It was more like, please give me something or trade me, one or the other. Like,
Yeah.
I need something to compete here.
As a Lakers fan, I remember watching that so closely, literally, because we didn't have smartphones. I would literally turn on ESPN every morning and watch the ticker to see if breaking news, Kobe Bryant's been traded to the Chicago Bulls, breaking news, Kobe's been traded to the Dallas Mavericks, that sort of thing. I had anxiety about it. I was like, I didn't want Kobe to leave. But with that being said, I did not blame Kobe for wanting to leave. Genuinely did not, because not to mention 03 to 04, that season, that was just a mess. We bring in Gary Payton, Karl Malone. With the Shaq stuff, there's drama. Robert Ory's gone. Fisher ends up going to Utah and Golden State, then Utah.
I think that was like silently the biggest loss.
Yeah.
Fisher, man, underrated as hell. Sorry.
No, you're good. The whole team just basically implodes. And then when we trade Shaq, I was pissed about the trade at the time because we got back Brian Grant, who was aging at that point. Caron Butler, who was with us for a year before we moved him again, which I still don't understand that because Kobe really loved him. And
too many blackout session workouts, probably.
Yeah, Lamar Odom was
Lamar
nice.
Odom was good.
He was nice. But for Shaq, Shaq was an MVP candidate with Miami right after that.
Yeah.
And so
Jonny,
I'm
real quick, let me just interrupt you real quick. The 3 guys at the time that you just outlined had combined for their entire careers to that stage to make not one All-Star appearance or one All-NBA selection. And they traded Shaq, who was still primed at that point. He was still an MVP candidate for the next 2 seasons. They got that back. It was insane, that package.
So I'm looking at it as a Lakers fan. Jerry West is now gone, and I'm going, this is a mess.
Yeah.
I don't blame Kobe for wanting to leave. And he did say, genuinely, him and his family, they were looking at homes in Chicago. So I do believe he genuinely wanted to believe. But I just don't see it super black and white. There's a big difference between hopping on another super team when you've done it time and time again throughout your career, and a guy asking to be traded because he has arguably the worst supporting cast in the NBA at the time and one of the worst that any superstars ever had. So go ahead, RMC. I feel like you've been chomping at the bit to get in there.
Oh, actually, I'm gonna take off where I left off on this because I could relate this to a relationship again. I don't know why I'm thinking about that today, but no, but I always see these things as like a marriage. You know, if you stayed with a team for 20 years, that's a marriage. All right. So to me, there's a huge difference in here. All right, you're with okay. Well, at that point, he was with the Lakers for what, 8 years? Before he, no.
The 8th year was 03 to 04. So
10 years, right?
By the end of 07, where he demands that trade, you're adding 11. Another 3 years. So 11 years he's been with the Lakers.
All right. So they were, kumbaya for 11 years, and now they're having problems. He's getting no effort from the other side. The front office is giving him crap. We just established that, you guys. I don't think it's unreasonable for the guy to say, hey, man, if you're going to keep treating me like this and wasting my prime, I can go somewhere else. You know, I will go somewhere else. I think that's a natural thing for anybody to do when they're miserable. The difference is, one, he wasn't trying to go to a super team and make his job easy. He just wanted an organization that was going to actually give a damn about winning again, which the Lakers became. But it took this bluff to do it. Yes, 100%. He was thinking about going to Chicago. I didn't know how real that was until he talked about it post career. But the thing is, he worked it out. That's the difference that nobody wants to talk about, the LeBron fans at least, because it's like LeBron didn't even try to work it out. And it's the opposite situation. LeBron goes to Cleveland the second time. He gets everything he wants. The front office has given him everything he asked for. He goes and he leaves him. The first time there's trouble, he ditches, goes to LA. They give him everything you could possibly ask for, even the Russell Westbrook thing. Magic quits because of all this nonsense, all this stuff they gave to him. And then when times get tough, he's demanding either he gets traded or, he wants more help because he's LeBron James, and he still leaves. So to me, isn't that not a drastic difference between we had some problems halfway through the relationship, but we worked it out and we stayed together to the end versus I've been married multiple times and every single time it got tough, I abandoned and went to a better situation. I don't understand how the fans are comparing these two, because to me, it's completely different. And the fact that the end of the day is Kobe stayed. He worked it out, and he won 2 more championships. to me, that's something to celebrate, because if he didn't do that, he didn't make those threats, they probably wouldn't have taken it serious. And look how quick they turned that around. You know, they got him his coach back. They got him, Pau Gasol, like Lamar, between like Lamar Odom and then like, Ron Artest later on. Like, they built him a unit that could win.
It's got to be funny you saying all this, because I know at that time you hated Kobe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No,
You're a Phoenix Suns fan through and through.
Every single positive move you guys made during that time to build around Kobe, I was freaking mad, dude. Every single move. Because, I mean, it's just a rivalry, Johnny. That's all it is. I didn't want you guys in our way. We already had Dallas. We already had San Antonio. Like, Denver was in there making noise. I didn't want to deal with you guys. I was so happy. I was thinking, like, maybe for the next 10 years, I don't have to worry about the damn Lakers. Dang, end of finals 3 years in a row.
I wish I could just see a window into the past and see your reaction right next to my reaction when Thomas hits that 3-point shot in Game 6 that ends up sending it to overtime. You ruined Kobe's like greatest playoff performance ever, where he dropped like 50 points in that game versus Phoenix, and then we have to deal with the whole quit narrative of Game 7 and everything. But Skap, I know you've been trying to say things. Go for it.
Yeah, I remember. Look, I went to Penn State, and I was still, I was on campus. I remember waiting for my buddy to get out of the dorm, and I was a little bit older than him. I had a car. We were heading to a movie, him and another friend of mine, and I heard come across I had like ESPN radio on that Pau Gasol had been traded to the Lakers.
Yeah,
and this is a guy at the time, 7 years in, one All-Star, no All-NBA appearances. But I remember scaling the wall. I got out of my car, scaled the wall right outside of the East dormitories on Penn State's campus, took my shirt off, and was like ripping it around, yelling, because I just felt he just needed that one. Like, he reminded me, he was in a Jordanian type run there, where I felt like Jordan just needed that one guy. He just needed Pippen to emerge and become like a serviceable all-star caliber player, and then no one was going to be able to beat him. I felt like Kobe was that guy, and he proved me right over the course of like the next 3 seasons. Mm-hmm. And he did it because he stayed the course, because he didn't force the hand of the Lakers, because he didn't move. Like, I oftentimes, guys, think about different situations throughout NBA history, and if those guys did the same thing that LeBron did when he went to Miami with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Like, think, if you will, because those guys were all top 5 picks in their draft, in the 2003 draft. Think back to one of the other all-time great drafts in NBA history, the one that brought in Michael Jordan, right? Charles Barkley,
Hakeem Olajuwon,
John Stockton.
Yeah. Think about the structure, though, of the league during that span of time. Super teams were reigning. Like, now we can fight about the definition of a super team, but the Lakers and the Celtics primarily were the powerhouses with like 3-4 Hall of Famers, essentially. Right. Those young guys that came in '84 were all struggling mightily for years. Yep. And Jordan stuck it out and fought it out, and finally won in '90. What if after like 5, 6, 7 years of struggling and failing, those 3 guys were like, hey, why don't we just all join together? Mm-hmm. Like, why doesn't, Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Charles Barkley all just think about if those guys paired, what that would have meant to the NBA at that time, what they would have accomplished. It's insane. And just real quick, I think about the same thing at the time Kobe was struggling with the Lakers organization. Mm-hmm. Kevin Garnett was at his wit's end with Minnesota. What if those 2 guys decided to try to force their way to some other NBA team? Like, it's just crazy how easy things were for LeBron, how much he stacked the decks. Mm-hmm. And when you look at some of these other guys that stayed and fought it out and battled it out, and when you compare it at the end of the day, LeBron still with only 4 rings in 25 years. It's just a laughable failure to me.
Well, again, it's not like we're saying he doesn't have the right to do it. That's the whole part of the CBA. That's the whole negotiation. NBA contracts have been getting shorter over time. When Magic Johnson signed with the Lakers, he signed for a 25-year, $25 million deal. Oh, yeah. He got frustrated with the head coach before they had Pat Riley, and he demanded a trade. Yeah. And Jerry Buss just laughed in his face, because he's like, you got 23 years left on your contract. What leverage do you have? And so, contracts are now getting shorter and shorter, where the longest one you can sign is basically 5 years. And a couple years in, you've already got like a player option. A year short of that, you could be demanding a trade because it's a expiring contract, And so guys are constantly looking to see if the grass is greener on the other side. Does LeBron, KD, and all those guys have a legal right to do things? Of course. We're not saying it should be any different. With that said, if you want to put yourself in the same breath of the greatest players of all time, or in the case of LeBron, say you are the greatest player of all time, these things matter. The road that you took matters. Again, Kobe was acquiring pieces before Pau Gasol. It's not like Pau Gasol just came on and now all of a sudden they're winning championships. They were like a 4th or 5th seed when they acquired Pau Gasol mid-season in the trade. Okay, because they had a young Andrew Bynum. They had Lamar Odom. They had Derek Fisher, and they had Phil Jackson. Now you add Pau. Now you've got a capable squad, but they're not a super team. They're not a team that was already expected to win the championship, and then you added Pau Gasol.
Jonny, I'm pretty sure they were the 1 seed, though, that year. They weren't.
Not at the time of the trade. At one point they were, but at the time of the trade, I'll bet you $5.
I don't know, man. Skap's brain with these stats, dude.
No. I'm gonna share my screen. We're gonna look it up right now.
They were the 1 seed at one point that year before when Andrew Bynum got hurt.
He backtracking.
Remember, they were the one most of the year, and they were I believe they were the 8th odds-on favorite to win the West before that season began in 2008. And Bynum got hurt, so they basically their hand was forced essentially to make that trade.
Right. So the Lakers at the time were the 5th seed, but you're right. You're right, because although they're the 5th seed, they're 2 games, 2.5 games back.
Look at the loss column. Yeah.
I mean, 2.5 games back. They're right there. That's right there.
Dude, the West was so insane back then. Look at that difference. 2.5 games separating 1 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
And to think that that's what Kobe had with Bynum, Fisher, and Lamar Odom, and that's it.
Yeah, and look at those teams. Those teams were absolutely stacked, just ridiculously stacked.
Dude, look at the Nuggets. The Nuggets get 0 respect, and they were 2 games behind the Lakers.
Wow,
5 games behind the Suns. There, who was the number 1 seed? It's so stacked. How you do it definitely matters. Okay, you get 4 rings, cool. You get to sit at the table with the other 4 ring guys. Now we compare your careers. How'd you get there? And if you took the helicopter up to the top of the mountain, as John Stockton said, you're going to the bottom of that tier for me, because I have eyes. I respect what I respect, and that's how everyone makes their choices, But if you did it the hard way and you got up to 4, for instance, I know Steph Curry ended up, getting KD to join him, but he had KD join him. He didn't join KD. So if you're asking me who's on top of who on that one, that's Steph to me. He gets way more respect in my mind because he stayed at home and built. And
so to push back a little bit, sorry, go ahead, finish your point, but I do have a counter to that. I want to push that point. I want to get your follow up.
Basically, Steph Curry, he earned his flowers for me, not when he was with KD. It was after KD. And I always remember a moment, because I think it was 2020 or 2021. They missed the playoffs. There was a play-in game. They missed the playoffs, and the press conference was, "You don't want to see me next year." And then he comes back and he wins the championship Finals MVP. That Golden State team was not supposed to win that title, if you guys remember. No way were they the best team in the NBA. At that moment, when he did it the hard way, the ultra hard way, that's where I was like, okay, he's different. That's a separator. That separates him from the KDs and the LeBrons in my mind. But go ahead, Jonny.
Magic Johnson was drafted to the Los Angeles Lakers, who had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The Lakers weren't even supposed to have that pick because it was a pick that they obtained via trade and then had to win the coin flip. So Magic Johnson was almost a Chicago Bull. So for all kinds of reasons, Magic's going to a fortified Lakers team that already has an MVP candidate year in and year out in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Does that apply to him as well? That he, basically he didn't make the active decision to start at the mountaintop, but in a way he kind of did, at least close to the top. What do you have to say about that?
I don't consider it the same, but Magic and Kareem are both difficult for me because of that, because they had each other for the majority of their success. However, again, it's how did it happen? He was drafted. Did he have a choice? Did he choose to team up with the Cap? No. Was he happy about it? Hell yeah, he was. But it happened natural. So I can't take points away from a guy. Okay, that's the same thing with Shaq and Kobe. You know, Kobe gets drafted by Charlotte, but he ends up, he plays his whole career for the Lakers. I'm not one of those guys who took away from him because he had Shaq on that team. You know, they signed Shaq, they drafted Kobe. This is just how how the chips fell in this situation. I only discredit people when they literally abandon their team and they go to the Miami Heat thing. Once that Miami Heat Big Three thing started, and I seen 10 different versions of it, and I know that's what we're talking about next is the new version of this crap. It's a Big Four now. That's where I lose respect, because once again, if you go back to the Kobe like flirting with leaving the Lakers thing, he wasn't talking about going to a super team. He was going to the Chicago Bulls, who were nothing at that point. Like, I mean, did they even have Derrick Rose yet?
They didn't have Derrick Rose, and they probably don't get Derrick Rose if they get Kobe, because now they're too good to be in that draft position. Yeah. But the big hang up for Kobe, I remember them talking about this, was Luol Deng. He was upset that Luol Deng was being included in the trade to the Lakers. And he's like, I don't want to go there if you're just going to deplete the talent, all the talent that they have. And now I'm in the exact same situation. Kobe needed his running mate to feel like he had a chance to be Luol Deng.
Same thing happened with the Mavericks too, right? Right, Johnny? Like I remember Mark Cuban talking about this, where he was talking about trading for Kobe, but Kobe was, I mean, his thing was, you can't trade Dirk. Like, don't bring me there if you're trading Dirk for me. Like, I'm coming. I want to play with him.
Right.
And then Dirk said, "Go ahead and just trade me for him." Like he's Kobe freaking Bryant. And Mark Cuban's like, no.
Right.
Yeah. To me, it really matters. Okay, the number gets you to the table. Shaq, LeBron, Steph, they all got 4. How you did it matters to me. And
what about KG? What about KG though? Because KG suffered on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yes, he was traded to Boston, but that was still kind of up to him too. He wanted to go to a contender. They asked if he was cool with it. He had either the Lakers or the Celtics. Kobe didn't return the phone call. Damn it, Kobe. So he ends up going to the Celtics. How were your feelings about that? That was a Big Three monster over there.
Okay, I'll make that one quick. I relate that a lot to the recent Giannis situation, where I think that in their hearts of hearts, they wanted to stay together. They wanted to win together. But I believe there was a moment where Minnesota was like, I don't think we can do this. We have to rebuild again. It didn't work. And I always felt like it was the most mutual agreement, because there's always still that love between KG and Minnesota, that it was like, I'm still like, I have a little bit left. I've got like 7 or 8 years left of juice. If we can't build it here, cut me loose. Like, and I feel like Giannis went through the same thing, because they were always loyal to each other. Always saying he wants to stay there forever. Milwaukee saying they want him to stay there together. But after the Lillard situation, it's like, if you stay here, you're probably going to rot. You're not going to win again. So like those situations, I can understand that a little more. Kind of like Charles Barkley leaving Philly when he did back in the day. I kind of see it as like, this is a do or die. You're not going to a super team. It's nothing like that. You just want a shot at winning again, and your organization can't provide that to you. So I always respect that move a lot more than, hey, even though you gave me everything I wanted and everything I asked for, I'm going to go to, I'm going to go to these guys because they got one bonus star that you don't have, or whatever the situation. Right. So that's how I feel about it.
Go ahead, Skap.
Yeah, I think just to answer your question on Magic, I actually do. I have him lower than consensus, generally speaking. I have him, I believe, 7th and below Bird, actually, because of the fact that, yes, he had, to me, the best team on paper ever assembled. It's not just him and Kareem. It's Worthy, who's a top 50 player, and all of the other ridiculous assortment of role players that they had on that squad. And the fact, couple it with the West was ass back then. It was like LeBron's East.
Yeah.
So like, I actually do take Magic down, but the reason why I have him above LeBron, and I think more of him than I do LeBron, because yes, he had a silver spoon in his mouth when he was drafted in the NBA, but he maximized. He got 5 championships in 12 years. He went to 9 titles in 12 years and won 5 of them. So like, yes, he had maybe better help than LeBron, if not as good of help. And again, in basically easier competition levels, maybe, or concurrent levels of competition or comparable, I should say, as LeBron. But like 5-12 versus LeBron with 4-25, like that is why Magic is still, to me, like substantially above LeBron James, in my opinion. And
okay, riddle me this though, real quick. How good were the Lakers before Magic Johnson showed up with Kareem leading them? How good were they, Skap?
That's fair. But the thing is, Kareem, generally speaking, Kareem is higher than consensus than Magic is. And Magic won all 5 of his rings with Kareem. And again, with Worthy. And even when you're looking at Kareem, he won 5 of his with Magic, and then the other one with Oscar Robertson. So basically 2 all-time, like top 3 all-time point guards. That's why I look at the difficulty of the rings, essentially. So like, and Kobe's the 2 that he won with Gasol are as difficult as anyone's rings ever, outside of probably Akeem's and Dirk's one in 2011.
Yeah.
I see Jonny looking in 78, 79. I did just
want
a
little better than I thought it was.
I've lost in 5 semifinals, 47-35. Top 4 team defensively, top 5 team offensively. So they're good. Actually, I mean, not mind blowing, but they're competitive for sure.
That's actually way better than I thought. I'm glad you pulled that up.
And you know, Real Mindcrime, they were under, like, I'm pretty sure they were under 500 a year or two when Kareem was there. That was back when players were voting on MVP still, and Kareem was winning league MVPs with sub 500 records.
76, 40 and 42, and he won the MVP.
Right. Exactly. Real quick, I want to throw an asterisk, and then we'll get into LeBron and Philly. Maybe this will segue into it, because the Boston Big Three that you mentioned, John, with KG and Pierce and Allen, like, I've heard for years, LeBron had to go to Miami basically to combat that Big Three. But Dwayne Wade, on 2 separate podcasts, went on record over the last 3 years and said, we teamed up because of Kobe. Because Kobe was distancing himself from us. Like, Kobe had 5 rings. I only had 1, and Bron had none. That's why we teamed up, not because of the Boston Big Three. And the difference between the Boston Big Three and what Miami did is, Allen, KG, and Pierce were all in their 11th plus year in the league. They were all they were 30 or older, and none of them were first team All-NBA the year before. I think only one of them was All-NBA at all. You had Dwayne Wade and LeBron James in their peaks,
prime
first team All-NBAs, joining forces, not the same remotely. And now he's doing it again, even though he's not in his peak anymore. He's joining this other. He's building his distinctively third different super team now, in my estimation, in his 25-year career in Philly.
And 2 out of the 4 at least are in their prime. Embiid is a questionable one. He should be in his prime, but he's not healthy.
We'll get into that. I want to clarify something. Not clarify. Great thoughts. But to add to that, with the 07-08 Celtics, this was at the time they joined, is what we're looking at. At the time they assembled, the Big Three, monster, unbeatable Boston Celtics, Ray Allen's 32. Paul Pierce is 30. Right. Kevin Garnett's 31. They've already spent years and years competing. So all 3 of these guys are in their 30s. So when they're acting like this was this unbeatable super team, whether they're using that for Kobe's narrative or LeBron's narrative, I don't care. Later into those seasons, they were not this unbeatable super team. Because remember, Kevin Garnett a year after this, so everybody's a year older, he has the terrible knee injury. He doesn't even play in 2009 in the playoffs, okay? So they should have been the team that the Lakers were going up against in the NBA Finals, not the Magic. Then by 2010, by the time that comes around, the Celtics were like a 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. A lot of people had written them off and think now it's the Cavs' time to make it to the NBA Finals. Yeah. And somehow the Celtics make it back, and they're turning back the clock, is what people are saying. Now you add a couple more years into the Miami years. Dude, this team's old. At the time it was happening, we were not seeing them as this unbeatable super team.
That was the narrative too. That was that they're old and beat up at this point.
Yeah.
It's because it was a bridge era back then. It was still that time frame was more like the 80s and 90s than it is today. So people today in revisionism hear, 30, 31 years old. Like, it's not the same. We don't have guys running around at 37, 39, 41. Still, like, you were done. Basically, you were 31, 32 back then. You're pretty much done.
Yeah, you got like 3 years left if you're lucky,
right,
to win. So yeah, that's why I never disrespected any of those guys for doing it. And also, they didn't choose to team up. They all just ended up in Boston. You know, like who was the brains behind that? Who was the GM who put that all together?
The Celtics?
The Celtics, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was Ainge. Yeah, I think it was Ainge.
Yeah.
Yep, Danny Ainge.
He's the brains behind that, in my opinion, because he was wheeling and dealing with all three of these guys individually. You know, the difference is, like, you know, with the LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh thing is, like you said, Skap. D Wade tells the story. I watched it many times. He literally picked up the phone right after Kobe won his fifth and said, "Dude, this guy is stacking rings. What are we going to do about it?" And then it happened. So once again, I always separate it if it's organic or if it's not. And the Boston Big Three, one, it was pretty organic. Two, none of these guys were in their actual physical primes anymore. They had a window of 3 years to win, and they got one. I call that job well done by them. Similar to, like, you know, modern fans, they see Charles Barkley on the Houston Rockets and are like, "Oh man, that's a super team." And I'm like, guys, they're basically in wheelchairs at this point, you know, like, and plus he didn't choose to do that. He was traded, and history seems to forget that. But Barkley reminds us that my Phoenix Suns, like, we broke his heart, you know, because we gave him like 3 years over here. And then we're like, so long, Charles, you know, good luck. Just happened to be that he went to a pretty good team, but an aging team.
What I think is hilarious about that Dwayne Wade thing, that we did it to beat Kobe.
Yeah.
I have a young daughter. Okay. She's going to turn 2 pretty soon. So I'm watching just children's movies all the time. But in the first Kung Fu Panda movie, Master Oogway,
classic.
The very wise Master Oogway has an amazing quote where he says, "One often meets his destiny on the road he takes to avoid it." And that was so true of Dwayne Wade, where they assembled that super team to beat Kobe.
Yeah.
But in reality, he didn't have to worry about Kobe anyway, because they end up getting swept by the Dallas Mavericks, but they're still running into that Mavericks team, and they get their number in 2011. So even in that, but that's why it's lost. That's why that's context lost. In hindsight, you know, Kobe lost to the Mavericks. You know, that Mavericks team was on an incredible all-time great run. But at the time, we weren't thinking the Mavericks were serious championship contenders. How many times have I seen Dirk win 50 or 60 games just to make a first or second round exit in the playoffs?
And then to sweep because they swept them, right? To sweep the
Kobe's knee was all mangled.
It was a tough year for LA for sure.
And Gasol was awful in that Dallas series too.
But they beat the Lakers. They beat a young OKC team, and then they beat Miami. I mean, they still got to get their flowers for sure. Like, you know, that was crazy.
Dirk's one ring has a lot of weight to it, man. A lot of respect for that one ring that they got.
Well, all right, I got to just talk real quick, Dirk. Yes, Dirk's one ring and Akeem's 2 rings, to me, they're more meaningful than Durant's rings and LeBron's rings.
100%.
Hell yeah.
But what I wanted to say real quick,
Giannis and Jokic too, for me. They all did it the hard way, man.
100%. And look, we could talk. I love to talk Jokic too, so we can intertwine him into when we eventually get to LeBron and Philly.
You like basketball, Skap?
Jokic. But remember the voided trade by Silver and the NBA. I'm sorry, by Stern and the NBA, the league offices, because the year that it would have been Chris Paul and Kobe, they were both, Chris Paul and Kobe both were first team All NBA that year. And that was the year that the Thunder got into the finals and the Heat and LeBron ultimately beat the Thunder. I think if that trade was never voided, I know coulda, woulda, shoulda, alternate timeline type conversation. I think Kobe would have gotten 6, and I think he would have beat LeBron head to head that year in 2012. And then that would have been Kobe's legacy would look so much different if he had the 6 rings and if he beat LeBron head to head in the finals.
Yeah, I agree. Plus that, like, who's better could have been. Okay, guys, could you imagine if like 2011 went differently and the Lakers were they came out in the West and it was the Miami Big Three versus Kobe, and Kobe comes out on top. Like that would just end all the conversations. Because it's like you stacked your team and you still can't beat me.
Come on, RMC. You can't believe that. You really think that would have ended all the conversation? The conversation's already over in your mind. You think it's going to end it for them? Well, he was in his prime, but he doesn't be allowed to be in his prime. He hadn't learned how to win yet. But now if they squared off, he'd dominate Kobe. Are you kidding me? Of course you're going to say that.
Yeah, the community is toxic. LeBron didn't know about Balco yet. That's why he couldn't win yet.
That's actually a good take. All right, so
he wasn't that good at flopping yet.
Moving on to the Philly situation.
The Philly with flopping, yeah. I want to be a fly on the wall and see their flop sessions in practice to see like who's the better flopper between Mr. Embiid and LeBron. I'm sure they're going to learn some stuff off each other. It's kind of like a mirror to me of what we got in LA, because when I first heard about Luka going to LA, it's documented, I'm sure, on my first reaction to it is like my first thought was, holy crap, every single defensive play or offensive play, both of them are going to stop in their tracks, lift their arms up in the air and stare at the ref and get mad. Like there's only going to be 3 guys getting back on defense. And then I got to witness it for like a year and a half. It was pretty blissful. So now the new one is,
I'm glad you were happy.
Who's going to, I'm sorry, Johnny. It was good times for me. Now we get to see who's the bigger flopper, Embiid or LeBron. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, for the 15 games they're actually both out there on the court together.
And Embiid, quote unquote, is healthy now. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I say he plays about 30 games next year.
The last 3 years, he's averaging, I think, like 35 games played in the last 3 seasons. He only had like the most games he's played out of the last 3 seasons was 41. Okay, so he's barely hitting half of the games played that season. Not to mention he's missed them in the playoffs too. What's that?
Since that league MVP award.
Yeah, basically.
I think that was it.
Falling
that
off
was it for him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I never seen somebody cry that hard when they won MVP. Like when I saw that, I was like, this was a championship to him. Like this is how he feels about this. That's bad news for Philly fans.
I love that take, actually, because they talk about a championship hangover where guys won a championship and they just don't come back as strong next year because they're not hungry. Instead of like working to win it. Yeah, well, Shaq for sure. Yeah. Instead of spending the whole offseason training, they're hibernating. They're fed and they're satisfied and they're just chilling.
Yeah. Shaq said he spent the whole summer in a swimming pool, like eating cheeseburgers and drinking alcohol.
But it applies to MVPs too. Yeah, it applies to MVPs too. That's a real good take, RMC.
It does.
But Rich Paul said that Kobe would have supported this move. I'll insert this clip right now.
Yeah. And now is playing for the Sixers right in Kobe's hometown, basically.
I actually think this is something Kobe would be extremely, like, I don't know if proud's the right word.
Proud is the word, I think.
Yeah, but I think he would be like, hell yeah.
Right.
Because
it's a
competitive
challenge. Move.
It's a competitive move. It's a challenge.
So you guys just saw it. What are your guys' thoughts on Rich Paul's words and Kobe being in support of this?
Skap, I got to hear your take first, man.
Kobe Bryant, I honestly believe the guy mellowed out so much when he retired. I think 100%. that he had this aura that he almost maybe even constructed and built, but that he was committed to and lived in for basically 20 years, at least the first 17 before the Achilles rupture of his career. And I think there was a time in Kobe's life, a real portion of time, where he hated LeBron's guts. I think when LeBron went to LA because Pelinka, who's Kobe's longtime agent and very close personal friend, was instrumental in it. I think Kobe became a reluctant kind of ambassador for the move, or kind of at least welcomed LeBron half-heartedly, because Kobe was a bigger person at that point in time and was kind of over it. The on the court type comparisons and stuff between he and Bron. But during the vast majority of Kobe's overlapping careers with LeBron James, I really believe he hated LeBron's guts. He resented him because of the way the media coddled him and uplifted him. And I think Kobe thinks that Bron couldn't have held his jock strap and done the things that Kobe did against the competition he did it against with the supporting cast that he had. And I honestly, I really believe Kobe was absolutely disgusted that people put LeBron in his conversation or over him because of how pathetic he is mentally and how weak he is and the different moves that he does to sidestep all of the obstacles and take the easy way out routinely. So for Rich Paul, this is one of the most slanderous things I've heard about Kobe, which is crazy to say because of all of the ridiculous takes that I see since Kobe passed away. But to say that Kobe would have endorsed this move is absolutely ridiculous. I reject it full-heartedly because it literally spits in the face of everything that Kobe Bryant stood for, which was being that ultimate competitor, taking what you have, and just still proving that you're the best.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if LeBron was smart, he'd tell, like, the smart move is to tell Rich Paul to zip it, because over the last couple of years, the worst things that have coming out of that camp, it's constantly it's Rich Paul, dude. Like, he's constantly just saying these goofy things. And Kobe said the opposite. To piggyback off of your point,
the same conversation with Jeannie Buss, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That same conversation. Yep, go ahead.
He had that conversation, but he also displayed that disgust you talked about, Skap, with that All-Star game where LeBron didn't shoot that shot, passed out of it. And now Kobe's basically lecturing LeBron James. And that's not something that LeBron grew from or LeBron changed from. LeBron's mindset, whether or not you agree with it, it's still passing. If a guy's open, is the right basketball play, regardless of who it is. I don't agree with that stance. But yeah, Kobe was getting on him about it. You could see the disgust there.
Yeah. And that game you're talking about, like, Kobe was way past, he was over the hump of his prime. LeBron was the league MVP that year. And basically Kobe was like, this guy's not going to score on me in the fourth quarter. And he didn't. Look, LeBron didn't score his first point till there was like 20 seconds left in the fourth quarter from the free throw line, and the West was up by like 8 or 9 points at that time. And Kobe was sauntering around half court, like yelling at the guys calling the game that LeBron can't score on him. This is like 33, 34-year-old Kobe Bryant talking about prime MVP LeBron James, and LeBron just took it with his tail between his legs. He just wasn't the alpha. He never was. He never has been. And Kobe was through and through that guy.
I'm going to be the LeBron fan. I'm going to be the LeBron fan in this one. So I'm one on two.
One of my friends, I'm out of here.
I actually don't have a big problem with this Philly move in a vacuum, in a bottle. Because of everything else LeBron has done throughout his career, it's like, of course, another super stacked team that has all this momentum towards the championship. And honestly, what were the connections to Philly? If it was Golden State, it'd be like, well, he was friends with Steph Curry. Obviously, he's really close with Draymond Green, that sort of thing.
I hate that they're connecting the Philly thing to Kobe as well. That's pissing me off.
Yeah, it's really,
they're like, some LeBron fan. Like, I've like looked through some comment sections, and some LeBron fans are like, this is a tribute to his brother Kobe. He's doing this for him. And I'm like, you sons of.
Well, for me, if you like, it's not out of the ordinary for older players to try to capitalize on a championship on their way out when they're not the same guy anymore.
Yeah. Good thing you said in a vacuum, Johnny.
Yeah, in a vacuum, because this is what LeBron's always done. So it's like, in that sense, it's not surprising. And it's why it makes him like really an easy target. But when LeBron released a statement about why he chose to go to Philly, and he says, you know, he's talking about the final stages of career, and he just wants to feel that magic of the mountaintop one more time. Bro, let's be real. If your whole life, for the most part, has been about the NBA, and you're an NBA player, you spent more time in the NBA in your life than you were not an NBA player, the greatest feeling of your professional career, of your life outside of family, is the mountaintop of winning a championship. So somebody trying to give themselves the best opportunity to win a championship on their way out, that's the part I don't have a problem with it. But it's because it's LeBron, and it's like, you've done this like 5 times now. That's the part that makes it crazy.
All I have to say about what you just said is, yes, in a vacuum, whatever. Yeah, that would work. If LeBron played his whole career in Cleveland, and now it's like year 25, and he's like, you know what? We don't have a shot. I would like one more chance to win. And then he went to this team. I'd have no problem with it. absolutely no problem. I'd be like, go get one, champ. You know, and I'd probably be rooting for him because, you know, before he left for Miami, I was a big LeBron James fan, bigger Dwayne Wade fan, bigger Steve Nash fan, and Kobe. But, you know, I wanted him to win for the fans there. So I would have actually, like, it would have gone so different for me when it comes to him. I would have supported this move. Sure. But like you said, if it was in a vacuum, yes. But unfortunately, we're quite the opposite situation of that, man. This is 16 years of doing this. After 16 years of doing the same behavior over and over again, I can't say, yeah, this one makes sense. Like, it makes sense to him because at this point, everyone is going to call him a ring chaser no matter what. He cannot escape that identity. He's going to have it for the rest of his life. So I get why he's doing this. Why not? Let's do it one last time. You know,
I kind of don't get why he's doing it, though. I get that he wants to win a championship on the way out, but like the same things we're saying are like, you can't bank on Embiid being there. Jaylen Brown wanted to be the man of the team, and now on some nights he'll be the fourth option. Like, I don't know. Like, there must have been more sure bets, but of course it's the LeBron move to go to Philly. I just like, if you want a sure bet, this was a kind of a risky one. Well, but he's got a player option at the end of the year too. So
okay, and that's where I you know, some brilliant people in my comment section. One stood out hardcore to me, which was, they were like, TRMC, he signed 2 years. Wake up. He was like, he's going to play 1 year in Philly to see if he can win a ring really easy. And then he's going to retire in Cleveland. And I'm like, oh, crap.
Yep.
Knowing him, because that was the biggest shock for me was he didn't go to Cleveland. Because I'm like, you know, when we're dealing with a guy with possibly the biggest ego I've ever seen in professional sports, like, of course he wants that farewell tour. Out of everybody that's ever played the game, he wants it. He's the opposite of Tim Duncan, who just like drove into the sunset. Like, he wants every second of that. And that's really what I think he's going to do. He's going to give this experiment one shot. But like you said, he's going to be the fourth option or whatever. Well, if he's miserable doing that, hey, all he's got to do is make it through one season. And then he can go and get his ass kissed for an entire year, you know. And to me, this makes more sense for LeBron than it does for Philly. And I know a lot of people see LeBron as though he's going to be a really valuable asset to this team. But to me, I see a third primary ball handler who's way past his prime. When you got a Maxey and a Jaylen Brown, I want the ball in their hands, you know? And if Embiid is healthy, I want him getting the ball in the post with those two guys on the perimeter. Where does LeBron fit in basketball-wise? No, not paper-wise. You're thinking about game planning and offense. Where does he fit in? Is he the power forward? What is he? Is he your ball handler? Is he at the point position? And then you're going to turn Maxey and Brown into wing shooters? How would you guys structure this offense with LeBron in there?
It makes me wonder how many options LeBron actually had. You know, like how many, of course, LeBron fans are going to try to make it seem like everybody and their mother wanted him, but I'm not convinced New York wanted him. They won the championship. Why would they mix that up? To me, if LeBron wanted the easiest opportunity to win a championship for a place that actually made sense, it was San Antonio. Okay. Because, you know, say what you want about LeBron James and all that sort of thing. The guy has experience in the postseason, and I've seen him pick his spots where he can still have an impact. Even when I went to Luka's game, where his return game to Dallas, it was LeBron that closed out that game. LeBron can still pick out his spots. I'm not saying he's the best impactful player throughout, because I think he's kind of a defensive liability more often than not.
Okay, but to your credit, if you paired him up with a Wemby, you know, so I mean, he's going to get blown by one-on-one constantly. But if you have Wemby waiting at the basket, that could work.
I also don't think LeBron's blowing a 29-point lead in the NBA Finals. I don't think he's blowing a lead 4 times in the NBA Finals. I think he has too much veteran experience that he's going to at least have an idea of how to stop that bleeding, maybe 2 times, you know? And so San Antonio is the team that I think really could have been, but maybe they don't want him. And when LeBron's looking at his options, he's going, Philly's my best chance to compete for a championship, maybe before I go out with that farewell tour with Cleveland. Because to me, I'm just like, it's the LeBron move in the sense to where it's a bunch of stars, but golly, what a shaky situation you've got over there because of health, because of chemistry, because of drama. There's a lot of shaky aspects. Go ahead, Skap.
Yeah, I think I saw the principal, not even all of the players on the team, the principal 5 guys. So Embiid, Maxey, Brown, LeBron, and Edgecombe. If you add up all of their collective usage rates last year, it equals 141%. and there's only 100% available in an NBA
Right.
basketball.
Yeah.
That is problematic. Obviously, Jaylen Brown and LeBron James are kind of substandard three-point shooters in terms of today's NBA. So there are some potential problem kind of fit situations going on in Philadelphia. I do think he ultimately will end his career in Cleveland. I agree with you guys, but I could see it being not for 2 more years. I think he might fulfill his 2-year obligation in Philadelphia.
Really?
Think about it. If they win this year, which I think we can all agree they likely won't, despite the fact they are the 3rd odds-on favorite to win the NBA championship this year, behind only San Antonio and Oklahoma City. So by extension,
Philly is, Skap? Philly
is,
okay.
yes. So by extension, they are actually the favorites to win the Eastern Conference Finals as I sit here right now over New York. I think we can all agree they ain't going to win the finals this season. I think he would want to give it 1 more year to kind of hash out, because look at when he's made his jumps every time. Like, he made his jump to Miami. They lost the first year, then won the second year. He made his jump to LA. They didn't even make the playoffs the first year. They won the next year. Right? Like, they didn't win the first year in Cleveland. They won the next year. So I feel
was it the second year in Cleveland or the 3rd year?
I think it was the second year, actually. I think they lost. Okay. They lost in 2014, 2015, that first year to Golden State, and then they won the next year when Golden State obviously had 73 wins. Then they lost the next 2 years to Golden State, and then he left. So it's basically year 2 every time he jumps that they actually win. Now, this team is the biggest amalgamation slop job of all of those teams, where you're just throwing all these different pieces together. I think you're going to need more than 1 year to really bring it to fruition and see if it works. So I think he is committed to try to do that second year.
We disagree they lose, so hard on
hold
this.
Hold on. If they win, what I think it's going to be, which I don't think they will, but if they do, I think it's going to be too much for him to say, all right, I just got 5. If I get 6, my people, my Clutch Sports Army it doesn't matter if I'm the 3rd or 4th option. It doesn't matter if I'm 42, 43 years old. I've got 6. That's my trump card on Jordan. So I think it's going to be too much for him to resist if they win, to go for a second one in a row and win his 6th title. So either way, if they lose, I think he's coming back to try to get it in the second year. If they win, I think he's coming back to try to get a 6th. I see 2 more years in Philly, and then, guys, yes.
You're saying 3 more seasons for LeBron James? No,
crazy season in Cleveland, a retirement tour, because Philly doesn't make sense for a retirement tour anyway, because they are trying to win the championship. It would be too much of a distraction in my estimation.
Oh man, you just made me throw up in my
no, dude. So here's the thing. I think, okay, if Philly wins, I'm with you. Anything can happen, and that makes so much sense. If he wins, he's like, why don't I try to get 6? If
if he wins
on
this
MJ
coming season, yeah.
I don't think he's gonna do the Kawhi thing, and he's just gonna be that desperate to have SoCal weather, and he's gonna make a move, like Kawhi did from Toronto. I think he'd probably run it back. With that said, I don't think they're going to win the championship, because I'm using history as an indication of what I'm expecting. Joel Embiid is, to me, the crux. Like, Joel Embiid will indicate how far this team goes, because when he is healthy, he is an MVP candidate type player. But that when healthy, he hasn't been healthy since 2023.
Since he won MVP, right?
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Last time we really saw him have a healthy season.
Right, which was when he won an MVP 2023. So if LeBron sees Embiid go down, he hears Jaylen Brown's unhappy, and these are all realistic outcomes, because Jaylen Brown wanted a situation where he's the man. You are never the man when you're playing with LeBron James.
Nope.
Okay.
You're
not with how the media works. That's not how you're celebrated. You could be the best player on the team and you're not the man. That happened with Luka Doncic, where they were still talking about LeBron more than Luka, even though Luka was clearly the best player.
Absolutely.
So if they lose, and he's looking at lay of the land, it's now the 4th year in a row where Embiid's played like 40 games. And he's got a player option sitting right there with a good team that might want him. I don't see how he doesn't leave. It's LeBron.
You know what, Johnny? It's going to depend on what it actually looks like. If it's the Lakers the year they got Russ and didn't make the playoffs and it was a disaster and they imploded, or if the Sixers lose in the first round or something, because the East is very deep and they've got a
second round exit. What happens if it's like a second round exit? What do you think?
I think he'd come back. If they get to either the second round or the Final Four and they're in the East Finals, I think he would come back. And look, if they get swept in the second round, maybe. But like, it truly does depend. Like, if it looks like they're competitive, it looks like they're kind of putting things together, I think he comes back. If it is an embarrassment and a disaster, then I believe that you're right. He might leave, and it's going to look bad if he does it. Like, if he jumps again to a sixth time, it's going to look ridiculous.
But it already looks ridiculous. That's my point. Like, he's clearly showed he doesn't care about that sect of people that are always saying it looks ridiculous because he just did it again.
Yeah, it's
over. Why
wouldn't
he do it again? That's my stance.
He's not getting rid of the narrative that he's a ring chaser. It's way too late. Okay, the only way he could have done that is if he went to Miami, won 2 championships, went back to Cleveland, and stayed there. At that point, it would have been like, all right, well, that was a weird little blip in history. He went there, learned how to win, and then he came back to Cleveland. That could have been a cool story. But come on, man. You know, like, how many times?
Stay in Miami. Just stay in Miami the whole time. Stay there your whole career.
Or that. Yeah, if you could have just played for like 2 teams, then yeah, we could have a debate about the narrative about the ring chasing. At this point, he knows it. He knows that we all know it. His fans all know it. Rich Paul, his snake ass buddy, knows it. Everybody knows he's a ring chaser. The only way he gets respect is to be the greatest ring chaser that ring chasers have ever seen. And is he? Have we ever seen another ring chaser win 4?
Shaq's the closest thing to that.
So
I mean, he won it with Miami.
Ring chaser?
But Shaq was just hopping all over the place. I mean, it was like every single contender Shaq was going to at the end of his career.
Started in Orlando with Penny when he was first team All NBA.
That one still pisses me off.
Got to LA, however he got there with Kobe when he was first team All NBA. Got to Dwayne Wade when he was first team All NBA caliber.
Where
then
he looked like Jordan.
MVP LeBron's team, like MVP Steve Nash's team. The big 3 Celtics team. Like, it's crazy how many teams and how many loaded lineups that guy played with.
Sure. And he kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger every step of the way. Like, we called him the Big Shaqtus over here, and then he went on to be the Big Shamrock.
Yes. I remember
and Skap, did you even mention that he played with LeBron James? Because a lot of people,
I did, and LeBron in an MVP. I think it was an MVP season too.
Yeah, history tends to forget that happened when, you know, the narrative of like he never had help kind of thing.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, it's not prime Shaq anymore, but it was about at that point about 3 years out of his championship with Dwayne Wade.
He was good enough to predict a championship upon joining each of those teams. Literally, it happened. That's part of the thing why it looks so sad at the end of Shaq's career, because he goes to Phoenix, and I know you'll remember this, RMC, where he's in the crowd and he's pointing to his thumb saying, I'm getting number 5 here in Phoenix. So he's pointing at his thumb. Then he goes to Cleveland. He's like, win a ring for the king. Like, I'm going to get one for LeBron James. And everywhere he's going, he's like, it's time. I'm going to bring you that championship. And it doesn't happen. Then he leaves.
I know.
The thing is, was he not an all-star in Phoenix?
In Phoenix, yes, he was. Okay, here's the deal. I'll give you the quick rundown with Phoenix. Shaq actually played really good in Phoenix.
Yes.
He was on the wrong team. Steve Kerr was our general manager at the point. I don't know. This was his first big deal. And he traded Sean Marion and some other players, which was 1/3 of our heart. Because it was really our team was Steve Nash, Sean Marion, and Amari Stoudemire all the way. That was our heart. So he cut a chunk out of our heart, and we had the fastest team that history had ever seen at that point. And then we get the biggest mofo basketball has ever seen.
I'm so glad you're saying this.
One of those things. I know Steve Kerr is he's a smart basketball player. He understands the game. How he made that choice will blow my mind for the rest of my life. You know, we had another 2 or 3 years with that lineup where we could have won. We were inches away every single year to get into that finals. But instead of like amplifying that and seeing who else is fast out there, who else can shoot that open 3 when Nash creates for him, we got Shaq. And not even like, it's not like Orlando Shaq. We got the monstrous Big Shaq to Shaq, you know? And this guy, I respect Shaq for what he did here. It's because it's not his fault. It's Steve Kerr's fault. But like he was making it a point to win us fans over by running his ass back on defense every single play, you know, and it looked like the goofiest thing you've ever seen. But Shaq played really well here. It just was the worst fit possible.
I agree. Go ahead, Skap. Go ahead.
He was an all-star that year, and then the next year was the year that he joined Cleveland.
Right.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I just want to chime in on that. That was one of the dumbest decisions I have ever seen watching sports. I agree with you. You had the 7-second offense, one of the fastest teams in the league. And now you bring in Shaq, who, how old was Shaq? Okay.
36.
How old? Yeah.
How
now you
fat
bring
was
in
Shaq is a better
fat
question.
35-year-old Shaq, who ends up averaging 13 points per game. So not only is he slowing down the offense, but he's clogging up the lane. And so now that quick cuts that they have with Amari Stoudemire running the pick and roll and Sean Marion and all those guys that you have streaking towards the basket.
Johnny, it was a dual pick and roll. It was dual. It was Marion on one side and Amari on the other. How you do that with Shaq there? You can't.
And this is what I'm talking about. That hip check from Robert Horry. Ruined you guys. It ruined you guys because not only do you not go win the championship in 2007 because Amari Stoudemire and Boris Diaw get suspended for barely even leaving the bench because the NBA was so freaking petrified of having another
malice in a palace. Yeah,
right.
It ruined it.
You were 61-21, and you go, let's just throw out our identity and like have a wild card move and bring in Shaquille O'Neal. That's what you do when you're like desperate. But you guys were still there. You were still there.
We should have won it. You know, like I don't like to say those things too often because hypotheticals. Man, I don't think we would have lost if it wasn't for that terrible call and those suspensions. We had it. We finally had San Antonio on the fence.
And look what happens the next season. You're out in the first round in 5 games. It just totally changed the team, dude.
Johnny, is there any way to see how many points we averaged the year prior and then the year with Shaq? I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually about the same, though. It's 110.2 and then 110.1. It's almost the exact same.
Wow.
But at the same time, that could be a variety of things, you know, and maybe that just because, like, you know, games are not blowouts anymore, so you keep your starters in longer, that sort of thing. All I know is from somebody who was watching it at that time, this 61 win team without Shaq over this 55 win team with Shaq, it was night and day. You guys were so much better, and then you made that move because you wanted him in a championship. I think Shaq in certain situations, like say if Shaq went to Cleveland in 2008 or went to Boston in 2008, oh damn, that's actually really scary. But Phoenix was just the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing up all that stuff.
Listen, you did it with me just earlier with the Lakers, saying I loved watching you guys flop all over the place. So I got you back. Okay, I got you back.
Man. Yeah, you did. That's my bad. It hurt.
Speaking of guys being a bad fit, we've got maybe the ultimate bad fit in NBA history, calling it quits. And that's Russell Westbrook.
Oh, no.
And I'm not going to lie. I said this with my member stream just the other day. I actually love Russell Westbrook. I really love Russell Westbrook because to me, when he was at his best, like when he was really young and athletic and explosive, he reminded me a lot about what made 90s basketball so special.
Yeah.
He was irreverent. He was explosive. He was in your face. He had attitude. He would yell after a dunk. He would shout at the crowd. He'd trash talk, that sort of thing. I remember when we played them in the playoffs, Lakers versus OKC in 2012, he'd hit some big baskets and then he'd just shout at the Staples Center crowd. And I'm like, dude, this like pains me. He felt like a killer. And that's why Kobe compared him. But that it's the other things. It's the IQ aspects and stuff. And so, guys, I want you each to take a turn. Give me some of your thoughts on Russell Westbrook as he makes his exit out of the NBA. What do you think is an accurate perspective of him as an athlete?
I'll take it first. Okay, Russ, man, I feel very similar to how like Kobe and MJ portray him, which is like when it comes to the amount of energy and just chaos he brings to a basketball court. Like it's so commendable. Like, I don't, you guys have been on a basketball court to have that level of energy for 40 plus minutes. Like that is insanity. And so I think he had all the mental aspects of an absolute true killer. The difference is a guy like Kobe, a guy like Jordan, once they're athletics, I mean, think about like Jordan post 1990. You see a guy who's starting to realize I'm not going to fly forever.
Yeah.
What's next? How do I get to the next chapter now? And he kept adapting his game and working on his weaknesses until the very end. Unfortunately, Russ, I have a lot to say about the Lakers experiment, but what
Yeah.
experiment, just as a basketball fan, did teach me was he's one jump shot away from being like that guy. But that is his weakness in his older age, is you don't have the explosive athleticism anymore to get to the basket at will. And you don't have the ball in your hand. That was even a worse move by LA. But if you don't and you're forced to shoot, we saw what happened. And that was like near Ben Simmons type stuff that happened that year. So I think it's one of those. I wish he would have worked on that a lot more after about like 7 or 8 years in the NBA, when his body starts wearing out. I really wished he worked on that jumper and mastered it. I think of how Vince Carter extended his career. He just became like a jump shot gunslinger, from the guy like, possibly the greatest dunker of all time to a shooter. And that's how you extend a career. And unfortunately, we never got to see Russ do that. But before I hand this over, I'll say one thing. Russ, I have a ton of respect for the guy. 1 year before he ended up on that terrible situation with the Lakers, the guy averaged a triple-double, man. So ball in his hand, whether or not he can shoot a jumper, the impact he can make for a team, phenomenal. So them taking the ball out of his hands, putting it in LeBron's hands, and making Russ into a wing shooter, I think that felt like almost like personal. Like what you basically just killed his entire career right there in one season. And
it's funny because I mentioned that Phoenix move, getting Shaq, is one of the dumbest moves in NBA history. Like offseason moves, going, this doesn't fit. That was another one.
Yeah,
bringing him into the Lakers. I was saying the same thing.
It did
work with LeBron.
Yeah, I remember being at work at the restaurant with the guys when we saw this, and I was just like, at first I'm like, those freaking bastards, because you just think of it on paper, and then within a couple minutes I'm like, wait, who balls in whose hand? And everyone I was working with, like, oh, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm like, no, basketball. Think. He needs the ball in his hands. When has LeBron James ever given it to a point guard and let him actually play point? What is Russ going to do? And I'm sure you were thinking the same thing, Johnny. Like, how the hell is this going to work?
I just knew he was statistically one of the worst 3-point shooters in NBA history. And LeBron's going to have the ball in his hands. Yeah, so he's going to be waiting on the wings, throwing up bricks, or he's going to try to assert himself in transition. And Stu Lance, longtime Lakers color commentator, is going, stop, running in fast breaks, because it's like Russ trying to be the offense, but he'd rather do that than sit in a corner, wait for LeBron to throw him a shot, throw him the ball where he could shoot 31% from three. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Skap.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it as brief as I can. Just give me the Oscar wrap it up music if you want me to stop talking, because I think Russell Westbrook he has a complicated legacy. I think there's a lot of criticisms inherently about him, and a lot of them are fair. He's played with a lot of all-time great players. He played in a lot of good situations, and the guy's never won an NBA championship in 18 years. And some of that, to a large degree, is because of his own shortcomings or his own inadequacies or inefficiencies on the court. With that, so I know I shouldn't like him. And I know this is the one guy that I feel I'm a little hypocritical about. I strive for consistency at all times, but I will fully admit it right off the top. Like, I like Russell Westbrook. I've been a fan his entire career. And the thing that I will always think fondly on, honestly, is one of his younger times in the NBA, his one and only NBA Finals appearance in that 2012 series against the Super Team Heat, where he played a great series, guys. 27-6-6, I think, in that series. I think he outplayed Dwayne Wade as the second guy on that in that series. And for 30 years of watching NBA basketball, he has one of the 10 probably greatest NBA Finals performances I've ever seen in that Game 4, where they're down 2-1, the Thunder are in Miami. It's a must-win. He had 43 points in that game on 20 of 32 shooting. Jeez. And that was during a time, I think LeBron James is for his career, wildly overrated from a defensive perspective. But during that little stint of time when he was in Miami, he actually was an elite, like all league caliber defender. I remember when he absolutely locked down Derrick Rose in Derrick Rose's MVP season in the East Finals. But in that game 4 in Miami, everybody was switching off. LeBron was all over Russell Westbrook, 23-year-old Russell Westbrook in that game, and he couldn't do anything with him. At that point in time, I started calling Russell Westbrook the mini Mamba because of his mindset, his ferocity, the way he attacked the game, the basket, everything. I just loved the way the guy played the game. And yes, he never won a championship. But guys, we waited 55 years in NBA history to see a triple-double. Like one guy and one guy only did it in 1961-62. No one else did it for 55 years. Russell Westbrook did it 4 times in a 5-year stretch. I am 6'3", 190. He's listed at 6'4", 200. The fact that he's relatively my size, it is jaw-dropping and mind-boggling to imagine a guy that accomplished that over a 5-year span. Just an incredible player, an incredible competitor. And I think the reason why people like us who typically don't like guys like him because he doesn't win, but we are inspired by and we are in love with guys that want it so bad, that work so hard and so tirelessly, giving it all, giving his all, never leave everything out there. And that is what I will always fondly think about when I think of Russell Westbrook. It wasn't always pretty, guys. It wasn't always effective, but he was unapologetically Russ, and he was one of the greatest forces in basketball history.
I think I could say it like this real quick, and I want to see if you guys agree with me. He never won one, but I was always rooting for him all the way to the end. I wanted him to. That's where the disappointment is. I'm not disappointed in him. I'm just like disappointed it didn't happen, you know? Yeah. Like I kind of had the same feeling last season when Chris Paul like went, you know, into the sunset. So sadly, it was like, I really wanted you to get one. Like there's those rare people like a John Stockton, like, man, I really wanted you to get one. Charles Barkley. And now Russ is on that list. It's a very respected list though. You know, there's not that many players on my list of like, I see you as a champion, even though you didn't get it. But I know history's not going to, you know, history's going to forget, unfortunately. But yeah, like Skap said, like the respect level I have for him is through the roof. Because after Jordan, I didn't know if we were going to get one. We had Kobe, and that was great. And then I didn't know if we were going to get another one. We had Russ, D. Rose, and Dwayne Wade. And it seemed like it ended there, you guys. Who is Russ like? Is he the last real true killer we've seen with that mindset? Even though it didn't lead to championships, with that, like, I will end my career today if I have to in order to win this damn game.
Sure. Yeah, if that's what you mean by a killer, yeah, he's one of the last of a dying breed for sure. I will say this though, like I love what Skap says about him having a very complicated legacy. I think he'll be a very complicated player to look back on. Like I'll be making videos about him 20 years from now, trying to, I hope so. I hope you two still around and I'm still around. And if that's the case, I'll be trying to contextualize a lot of the things that happen because he has so many things that rightly he's blamed for. Like you said, RealMindCrime, not enough adapting, relied heavily on his athleticism, was never a good perimeter shooter, but similar to Charles Barkley, couldn't stop shooting them damn threes, regardless of the fact that he wasn't a great three-point shooter. A little too turnover prone. Sometimes his explosiveness and in transition, he's a monster. Other times he's just out of control. So it's hard to say what you're going to get from him. But at the same time, they made it to the NBA Finals in 2012. They made it to the Western Conference Finals in 2016. And it wasn't just him that laid an egg. It was Kevin Durant, too. They both folded after having a 3-1 lead. KD played terrible in Game 6 and Game 7 of that series. Not only that, KD leaves him to join the Golden State Warriors. LeBron fans love talking about the fact how that ruined the big aspects of LeBron's career. But same thing for Russell Westbrook. Yeah. Do they not get a championship in that window? I think they might in 100%. Those next few years because then he has that triple-double season where the best teammates he's got are what? Roberson, Steven, Victor Oladipo. Yeah.
And his Cantor. Those
oh, no.
Yes. No, Victor Oladipo and Cantor were the 2 second leading scorers to Russ that year.
That's so funny because we
WNBA
see that
player.
guy all over the news for different things, but I never actually saw him play at his Cantor, so now I know he was on that team. No, like Russ, how good Russ played the first year without KD, like we can't forget about that. That was a monster season with zero help, like you guys said. Like he willed that team.
Guys, they won 55 the year before when KD was there. KD left, stabbed them in the back. They didn't really have any way to replace him. They only won 8 fewer games.
That's insane.
Because of Russell Westbrook was literally a force of nature that season. And I hear people today say he shouldn't have got the MVP. Disgusting to me. Like that was one of the great individual seasons ever. Led the league in scoring, 3rd in assists, 10th in rebounds, 10th at 6.4.
And at that point, that was the first time we'd seen an average triple-double since Oscar.
He normalized it.
Yes,
he normalized it.
Now it's a different thing. You can't just give that to anybody who averages a triple-double. The game has changed. But back then, like when did Oscar do that? In the
1962.
60s? Yeah.
61-62 season. Yep.
62. Yeah, we were waiting a long ass time for something like that to happen. So you have to.
He made it so normal that Nikola Jokic has averaged a triple-double the last 2 seasons and nobody cares because Russell Westbrook did it 4 times. Yeah. It's like that's how much he truly normalized it. And the thing is, I talk about him being unfairly blamed. Obviously, there's how things ended with KD. But then eventually he gets to Los Angeles and he becomes the new scapegoat for everything that went wrong with that team, when honestly he was a bad at acquisition from the jump. But now even the last 3 years, Russ wanted to play. Russ wanted to play. And he played 68 games, 75 games, 64 games. So by today's NBA standards, he's actually still playing a lot as a 6th man of the year candidate. To me, I just think it's sad that he can't get a spot, and I think it's beyond basketball. I think he's good enough to still play.
I agree.
And be a good piece coming off the bench, and now he's humbled enough to where he could do that. But I think everybody views him as like a curse, basically. You bring him on the roster, it's basically been a seal that you're not winning a championship, because that's always the way it's been. So it's almost like people in baseball are super superstitious. It feels like this is a superstitious aspect of basketball now, is that Russell Westbrook thing.
I have a different take than that, but I get what you're saying. Here's the way I view the problem with the reasons why we respect Russ so much are the reasons that NBA teams are afraid to sign him right now. The NBA has become very organized, very robotic, very interchangeable. Anybody can play this position. Anybody can do this job. You stand here, you shoot the 3, like to have a wild card in a type of basketball that the NBA is playing right now, I think is the worst nightmare for the system. Now, that goes against everything I believe in with basketball, because I believe basketball needs to be organic, free flowing, and it depends on your roster. We got to build our team based on the talents of the individuals on the team. I'll always believe that. Russ fits right into any of those schemes, but into this robotic type of NBA where everybody has to just play your role and do nothing else. Russ doesn't fit in anymore. And it's unfortunate, because when they let him loose in Denver, when he was playing there, he was very effective. I saw him as a huge asset for that team. I got to admit, I didn't see one single Sacramento game. I don't tend to watch a lot of Sacramento games last year. So
when was the last time you caught a Sac game? 2002?
Yeah, a
lot of people don't watch Sacramento games.
Peja, Mike Bibby, Vlade, and Chris Webber. Yeah, absolutely. No, but that's really how I feel about it. I think it's because the game has changed. When Russ was young, we welcomed wild cards like that. That's why players like Dwayne Wade thrived. Derrick Rose thrived, because coaches were still, it wasn't all analytics yet, So it wasn't about that. It was about the individual. What kind of impact is he making? Do we like it? Okay, what can we add to this guy? And how do we build an identity around him? That was still a thing. Now it's like a paper game now, If it works on paper, the stats, the numbers line up, these are our guys. So unfortunately, I think if the league, when it was not going this direction, we could have got another 3 years out of the guy, you know?
And to be fair, it's all relative. I feel like the reason we're all being so positive about Russell Westbrook right now is because we, for the most part, hear the negativity. We hear him being blamed for everything, all that sort of thing. And the reality is, like he said, he's a very complex player with a lot of different teams, a lot of different moving parts. If 20 years from now, people are trying to call Russell Westbrook the greatest player of all time who never won a championship, guess what? Our tune's going to shift. And now all of a sudden we're all negative because we're trying to contextualize why he contributed to him not winning, contributed significantly. But yeah, for me, it's just a huge bummer to see him go out this way because I feel like he can have an impact and I think his talent deserves better. Go ahead, Skap.
I watched every game he played with the Nuggets. I'm a big Nuggets fan. I love Jokic. He was fantastic most of that year. He took on whatever they needed. Like if they just needed him to be an energizer off the bench, play defense, he did. When they had a bunch of injuries, he started some games. He was great. His on-off and split metrics with Jokic on the floor, like Jokic was even better. As great as Jokic is, he was even better with Russ on the floor because Russ had an understanding of how and where to get him the ball. I don't understand. It hasn't been him like jumping all over the NBA like some mercenary or like carpetbagging guy like LeBron James. He basically is kicked out of places.
He's
like,
kicked out. It's the opposite.
Yeah. Like, so I don't get, like, there was this big narrative that, he declined the player option in Denver. He wanted more money. Not true. He wanted to stay there. They didn't want him. So I
remember. I was mad at Denver for that. They cut him loose.
Like, I wish they would have kept him, picked up the option, kept him last year, kept him again, had him again this season. He was a great option for them, and he really benefited them overall. I don't understand why there is such this negative commentary swirling around Russell Westbrook, and it seems to be, again, pervasive throughout the entire, like every team in the NBA, basically. He essentially got blackballed out of the NBA. The guy is a unit. He's fit as hell. Like, he's only 37. He absolutely could have played on some contending team and had like a realistic kind of a fit on that team. It is. I'm with Jonny. It's sad to see this.
I think it's the oversimplified, because a lot of the execs, you get this, it's that oversimplified corporate type thinking. When you have a failure, when you didn't reach the bottom line, which, let's be real, you either win the championship or you're considered a failure. We were brutal on Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs and all their issues in these NBA finals, and they were the second best team in the league. And so,
dude, it's the first time they've ever been to the playoffs, like any of these guys, including the coach.
Right.
I think they have one guy who's ever played a playoff game before.
And I've already got members who are like, get rid of Fox, like trade Fox for a bag of cookies. We want to, like, we're harsh when these guys fail. And I think Russell Westbrook is that easy target. You're looking for someone to blame every time you fail, because Russell Westbrook is that talent where when you pair him with Nikola Jokic, you're thinking, we could win a championship this year. When you pair him with LeBron James, you're thinking, we could win a championship this year. James Harden, same thing, on and on. That was kind of the tail end, the twilight years of his career. Is every year he's going somewhere, there's championship expectations. And every time he fails, he's the easiest guy to blame for it, whether it's deserved or not. In some cases, I think it was. In many cases, I think it wasn't.
I agree. Well said.
Anyway,
guys,
I think we've hit most of the things we've wanted to talk about. It was a good hour-and-a-half pod between the three of us. This was fun.
It was. Actually, I got to use the bathroom like for the last 10 minutes. Can I do that real quick before we say bye? Like, it'll be 30 seconds.
Go for it. I'll edit it together. This was tons of fun, guys. I had a pleasure having you all on. Guys, what are you working on your own channels? Tell them about yourself, what you do. If this is their first time seeing you, tell us a little bit about your work.
Skap?
Yeah, I just finally got over 100,000 subscribers. My long year journey is complete finally. So waiting on my silver plaque. I'm going to change my whole studio up and my shot. I've got a lot of things I'm planning to hopefully implement over the next month or two. Going to do hopefully a live show, or at least maybe live to tape, like a daily show is been my big aspirations essentially since I've started on this platform. So hopefully I'm getting to a point where that's going to come into fruition. And I love the NFL as well. I talk NBA primarily is what I'm known for, but I love the NFL. So I'm going to be hopefully also implementing some football talk coming up as well in the next few weeks.
And we're in negotiations with me making an appearance over there. So if that helps,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I'll be over there eventually. So,
and Skap, I see you all over the place now. Like you're on TV and stuff nowadays, aren't you? Like,
yeah, I do stuff with this guy Jason Whitlock, who is
Jason Whitlock,
Fox Sports personality, and then I get a lot of run on. I've done some collaborations with the House of Highlights, and those clips. I don't do it, but like people have taken those clips all over.
I find you on Twitter all the time now.
Crazy,
yeah,
like.
Awesome.
Well, I mean, because just a couple of years ago, it was like I thought I was in the niche of like, hey, I watch Skap Attack content, and now you've done a great job, man. Congratulations on 100K. I couldn't believe you, because I look at your views, and I was like, how does he not have 100K yet? And I was thinking that a year ago. Like, how does he not have it? And you just got it. Did you order the play button?
It's on the way. And yeah. Congratulations because you beat me there. I was like, because I follow you as well, and I'm like, man, the Real Mind Crime, like, because the first real times I saw you were doing like reactions to my stuff. Obviously, you do all kinds of stuff now, but I was like, man, the Real Mind Crime beat me to 100. Like, you're at like 101 now, I think, and I'm at like 100,900. I was like, I wonder if I can get to 101 before.
I think
you guys need a race. Okay, we're gonna do this right now. Actually, I've done this.
No, he's gonna win. I lost momentum.
Don't do that. What is that freaking weak, non-competitive? Like, where's your competitive masculinity? Come on, we're racing here.
Check this out. I hit 100K, right? I hit 100K. That was a big deal. I just barely hit 101. But the weirdest thing was happening, and I was watching, on the YouTube Studio app. I was watching it happen real time. I'd gain 3 subs, I'd lose 2. I'm like, huh? What's going on? And it was like there was a purge that was activated at 100K or something. And I swear for about 2 months, it was like gain 1, lose 1, gain 1, lose 1. And I was thinking in the back of my mind, am I going to drop under 100K all of a sudden?
I don't know what happened. The game
I don't know what that was.
Yeah, the game has changed.
Something changed.
I have more subs than both of you combined, but I played in the. No. I'm about to disrespect myself.
Wait. We're just Charles Barkley over here.
No. I did, but I played in an inflated era because I don't know what happened like a couple years ago, but the rate of subs, and it's not just me. I talked to any NBA creator, and they're just like, dude, things changed. I'm having a hard time out here. So I don't know what's going on, but yeah, you guys got there. Okay. You had a grit and grind at the end, but you made it. All right.
Hell yeah. Have you guys heard of a channel, Eric Smith Sports Training? I've done a bunch of reacts to this guy, and he's been going for about 1.5 years. And I consider him like one of the better basketball YouTube channels. He's been putting out at least one great video a week. I even like tried to, get more traffic over there. Like half of my subscribers, I feel like I see it in the comments. They're like, oh, I subscribed. He's great. He's stuck at like 1.5 thousand subscribers.
I know.
Like,
it's hard.
And he's a great basketball. Like, I mean, it's.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this networking thing. We got to help each other out, All
right, Skap, I'll race you to 110.
Okay,
let's go.
And look, I slow too because it was just listening to you guys talk. I look back on my growth, and it was like I got 30. I started 3 years ago, roughly. I got 30,000 in the first 10 months, and then it took me the last 10 months to get from 90 to 100. So like 30,000 in my first 10, and then 10 months to just get 10,000 more. Yeah. So it'll be a good race.
I think, okay, like I can go back and look at the videos later, but I think I hit 40K after about 1 year because I made a video to celebrate it. And then it was like 2 years later to get to 100K. So yeah, I feel you.
Let's put some suspense in the game.
Throttling us.
Let's put some suspense in the game. All right. You're racing to 110. Okay. The loser will have to make some form of positive LeBron content. So RMC, you're going to have to react to the most glazing LeBron video ever. Skap, you're going to have to find some kind of angle to say something nice about LeBron.
We're going to throw our careers down.
Can we wait till April 1st? Can we wait till April 1st to put the video out?
Sure. Yes.
Yes.
I'm cool with that. You guys down? Race 110?
Yeah.
You heard it here. Okay. Right. Let's do it.
Now, Jonny, when I hit 100K, I'm like, now I'm going to not worry about subs for a while, and I'm just going to work on views. Now I'm back in. Thanks. Now I'm back in the game.
I gotta keep you hungry, dude. Okay, yep. I don't want you to do the Joel Embiid thing and get that MVP and stop caring. Okay,
why can't I have 110?
Yeah, exactly. All right, RMC, tell us about what you do. Skap did his thing. Tell us about what you do.
All right. Well, the fun thing for me is I started doing React content kind of on a whim. You know, if you guys are nerds, you might follow a content creator named Star Wars Theory.
Yes, right. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. If you're a Star Wars fan, go check out his channel, you guys. But I remember watching a video of his where he was giving advice. Basically, somebody was asking like, what do you say about somebody who wants to get into content creation? And he said, just do it. Just you have something to say it on camera, put it out. He said, don't think about it, don't edit it, nothing. And it was like a couple days later, do it again, and then do it again. So in my mind I was missing the restaurant, not because of the work, but because of the camaraderie and the conversations I'd have with the boys there. You know, we talk sports all the time. I just put out a ridiculous video reacting to what Skap Attack was saying. And I believe it was called The Last LeChoke was my first. I really think that
classic
thumbnail and my first YouTube video, and it blew up. Like it's not edited, nothing. It's literally like me like hitting record and then like, all right, welcome to my first video, blah, blah, blah. And it just, it took off. So I realized, hey, there's some people out there that might have to, you know, they might actually care what I say. So since then, it never was planned, but I ended up being, I do React content. And the first like couple of videos started out with Skap Attack, and then I started, like Arnett and all of my BTM and Angry Old Hoops, like all of my favorite basketball content creators. Like I started reacting to everybody's stuff. And then the weirdest thing happened where I ended up like getting to know you guys, like one at a time. Like Skap, me and you talked in a couple of comment sections. And like it was the coolest thing. So now here we are 3 years later, and there's like 100,000 subscribers, and I put out a video every single day, and it's really cool. So what do? Basketball, predominantly basketball React content. And I react to a lot of stuff that these two guys put out. And outside of that, I just started a music channel, and I'm kind of it's kind of like it's a variety of stuff. So like it involves like some of my guitar playing. I did like one React video of a different topic. I did like some demos where I'm showing off some gear and stuff like that.
Yeah, plug that. What's that called?
It's called Which One's Pink. I haven't really plugged it much, but this last week it started actually getting some views. I got like 4 videos out.
Heck yeah.
And I just started it about a month ago, just as like another passion project, because that's the other thing that I'm passionate about is music. And we'll see if it can happen again. But yeah, Which One's Pink is the channel. And I hope some of you guys go and check it out as well if you're into music.
Heck yeah. And that's always nice. It's nice to have a second channel because you've proven that you can do it in one way. Go do it again with something completely unrelated. I don't know. That's how I am. I'm like, I have to prove it to myself. I didn't luck into this. I'll do it again, and I'll do it again.
Johnny, before we wrap it up, you'll probably relate to this. Okay. After 3 years, I finally took a 1 week break off of YouTube right after the basketball season. Yeah. Like before that, Skap, I was a machine. I put out a video.
Sure.
At least one video every day.
Every single day. You had the night video, you had after dark, and you had the morning video.
I was working with COVID. I was working with the flu. I didn't care. I was on a mission. But like during that 1 week, about 3 days into it, I'm sitting around watching a bunch of music videos on YouTube, and I'm like, son of a bitch. I got that feeling again. I'm like, I have so much to say about all this. And then instead of taking a week vacation, I was designing and building a YouTube channel in the background. And then right when my week break was off, I started recording for it immediately. And I'm like,
heck yeah.
So
that's fun,
just
man.
The competitive part of me. Cause you said, can I do it? And I was wondering, I don't know. There's one way to find out.
Yeah. Cause then like I've had my gaming channel just crossed like 10,000 subscribers. Big goal to get that one to 100K as well. Somebody saw that and they were just like, hey man, stick to basketball. It's on now. That's when I had like 200 subscribers. I'm like, oh, it's on now. And so it's nice to have that chip on your shoulder and keep you going, which is why you guys need a race to 110. And that's what's happening. So
we are
excited.
Now.
Yes,
we are now.
Yes. I'm excited about it.
The loser loves LeBron.
The worst punishment ever.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, this was fun, guys. You know where to find him now. Thank you for being here. And it won't be the last time we collab. Let us know what you thought about in the comment section below.